Breaking news! Green Nation! It's that time of the season when things start heating up behind the scenes in the NFL, and no one shakes things up quite like Philadelphia. The city feels it, the pressure, the anticipation, that rush that only the trade deadline can bring. The team's in the thick of the race, and the question is it time for another bold move? Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button to support the channel and drop a comment below. What do you think this team needs to take the next step? I want to hear from you, Eagles fans, because one thing's for sure. When the clock starts ticking toward the trade deadline, the impossible can happen in Philly. Fly, Eagles, fly. It's that time of year again when Howie Roseman starts to make every other general manager in the NFL nervous. The trade deadline is closing in, and you can already feel that familiar tension in Philadelphia. The team sits at 4-2. Not a disaster, but not up to the Eagles' standard either. And what makes this point in the season so fascinating is how perfectly the schedule lines up. A Week 9 bye, right before the deadline hits, giving the front office one last clean window to assess what's missing before the push toward the postseason begins. Now let's talk facts. The trend around the league over the last few years has shifted dramatically. Trades are no longer rare. In October alone, across the last 6 seasons, there have been 88 in-season trades, an average of about 15 each year. It's a clear signal that the NFL is no longer afraid to shake things up mid-season, and Howie has been at the forefront of that new aggressive approach. Gone are the days when front offices hesitated to pull the trigger. Modern GMs want results, and Roseman is the prototype for this new era. Bold, strategic, and relentless in finding value. Think about what he's already done in recent months. He's traded for John Mechie, Jacorian Bennett, Fred Johnson, and Tank Bigsby. Not every move has been a home run. Let's be real about that. The Fred Johnson deal? That's been the one that's actually worked. He's filled in admirably for Lane Johnson when needed, showing consistency and reliability. But Mechie? No production. Bennett? On injured reserve. Bigsby? He's been a non-factor. Still, that's how the game works. No general manager in football hits 100%. Even Howie, who was nearly flawless in 2024 outside of that Bryce Huff signing and trade debacle, knows that some swings miss. The important part is that he keeps swinging. So where do the Eagles need to look now? There's no question. Edge rusher and cornerback are the biggest needs heading into the deadline. The defensive line isn't getting enough pressure on quarterbacks. And while the numbers show they're landing hits, they're not finishing plays. They rank 25th in sacks across the league. Unacceptable for a team built on dominating the trenches. The cornerback situation isn't much better.
And although safety hasn't been catastrophic, it's another area that could use reinforcement, especially with someone like C.J. Gardner-Johnson still out there. Bringing him back would be more than nostalgia, it would be smart football. He knows the system, brings energy, swagger, and playmaking ability, and can flex between safety and corner when needed. That's versatility this defense could use right now. The offensive line, normally the bedrock of this franchise, has also looked shaky. Landon Dickerson's been inconsistent. Cam Jurgens at center has had his rough moments. Tyler Steen has been up and down. The chemistry inside hasn't clicked the way we're used to seeing from a Philadelphia offensive line. But here's the catch. Trading for offensive linemen mid-season is one of the hardest moves to pull off in the NFL. Even bad teams don't want to let go of linemen because they either need them to protect their young quarterbacks or to prepare for the next one in the draft. So, while that might be a need, it's not an area where you can expect a splash. The numbers tell a story. Offensively, the Eagles rank 15th in points per game, not elite, 30th in total yards per game and 28th in yards per play. That's troubling. On third downs, they're 27th. The only bright spot is their red zone offense, which leads the league. Defensively, they're middle of the pack or worse in most categories, 19th in points allowed, 21st in total yards, 17th in yards per play, and 26th on third downs. It's a mix of inconsistency and missed opportunities. The defense pressures, but doesn't close. The offense moves, but sputters. This is a talented roster, but it's clearly one or two pieces short of being a complete machine. So, what's next? According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, league insiders believe Philadelphia will focus on either cornerback, edge rusher, or both. And that makes total sense. One name getting serious buzz is Bradley Chubb from the Miami Dolphins. When you look at it closely, it's almost too logical to ignore. The Dolphins are in sell mode, sitting at 1-5, their season's effectively over. Mike McDaniel's job could be on the line. Chubb is a proven veteran who's performed under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio twice, in fact, with both Denver and Miami. He's been a Pro Bowler in that system and knows how to thrive in it. The fit couldn't be better. Chubb's got 4 sacks and 6 quarterback hits this season coming off a torn ACL. For perspective, the Eagles' current leader at edge rusher sits at just 1.5 sacks. You bring in Chubb, and instantly your pass rush becomes more dynamic and experienced. He's still in his late 20s, which means he's not aging out of his prime. Plus, there's flexibility built into his contract, no guaranteed money left after this year. If he fits, great. If not, you move on clean. Financially, it wouldn't crush the Eagles, and in terms of draft compensation, it's not expected to require a king's ransom. This is exactly the type of calculated move Howie Roseman loves. A player with proven production, scheme familiarity, and manageable cost. You could imagine the rotation, a healthy Nolan Smith eventually back in the mix, Josh Sweat, and Bradley Chubb anchoring the edge. That's a front four that keeps offensive coordinators awake at night. If history tells us anything, it's that when opportunity knocks, Howie Roseman answers. And right now, opportunity is banging at the door. The Eagles have a championship-caliber core, a veteran quarterback, explosive playmakers, and a defensive front with the potential to dominate. But there's a noticeable gap between potential and execution, and Howie knows it. That's why this trade deadline could become a turning point in Philadelphia's season. Let's dive deeper into the possibilities. Outside of Bradley Chubb, there are several names floating around that make sense for this team. The New York Jets, winless and spiraling, have a pair of intriguing young edge rushers in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. Both are under contract, both are athletic, and both were handpicked by Joe Douglas, the same Joe Douglas who once helped Howie build the 2017 Super Bowl roster in Philadelphia. That connection matters. It means the Eagles front office already has insight into those players, their mindset, their work ethic, and how they might fit within Vic Fangio's scheme. Johnson, coming off an Achilles injury, has rebounded better than expected. He's powerful, long, and sets the edge well against the run. McDonald, on the other hand, is still raw but has that freaky bend and burst every team covets. The Jets are desperate for draft capital. If Howie decides to strike, he could probably pry one of them away at a reasonable price. It's exactly the type of forward-thinking move that builds for both now and later, something Roseman has mastered. Then there's the name that makes every fan's pulse race, Max Crosby. Now, is it realistic? Maybe not, but imagine the chaos if it happened. The Raiders are a mess, sitting in limbo as a franchise without direction. Crosby is the heartbeat of that defense, but if they truly want to rebuild, moving him for multiple first-round picks might make sense. He's a relentless pass rusher with elite production year after year, and he fits the exact mentality Philadelphia wants: effort, grit, leadership. Crosby next to Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat, that's a terrifying front for any opposing quarterback. And you know Howie, he's not afraid of the blockbuster deal. If there's even a sliver of a chance, he'll explore it. Still, the more likely route might be a mid-tier addition like Trey Hendrickson or Rashawn Gary. Hendrickson has been the most productive defensive end for the Bengals, and if they start slipping out of playoff contention, Cincinnati might listen to offers. Gary, meanwhile, is seeing limited snaps in Green Bay's rotation. He's got pedigree, strength, and pass rush technique, but he hasn't been used to his full potential. Philadelphia could be the perfect place for him to reignite his career. But the pass rush isn't the only issue. The quarterback room has been inconsistent all year. Injuries have forced the defense to rotate too often, and the lack of reliable depth has shown up in key moments. Howie's already tried to address it with the trade for Jacorian Bennett, but with him on IR, that plan's on hold. This is where someone like C.J. Gardner-Johnson becomes even more appealing. He knows the city, understands the system, and more importantly, he brings back that fire this defense has missed since he left. When he's on the field, the energy shifts. He's vocal, physical, and thrives on momentum. He's not just another safety. He's a tone setter. Now, to the big picture, this is a 4-2 football team that's underperforming statistically but still very much in control of its destiny. The offense ranks near the bottom in several key metrics, yet leads the league in red zone efficiency. That tells you they're executing when it matters most but failing to sustain drives consistently. That can be fixed. On the defensive side, they're creating pressure but not capitalizing on it, which is why adding a finisher like Chubb or Hendrickson could make all the difference. The timing couldn't be better. The bye week gives players rest and the coaching staff a full self-evaluation window. It also gives the front office leverage, a few days to assess, make calls, and position themselves before Week 10 against the Packers. That game could very well define the second half of the season. And if there's one thing Eagles fans know, it's that Roseman doesn't sit still when his team has a chance to contend. We've seen it before: the Jay Ajayi trade in 2017, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson deal in 2022, the Kevin Byard move last season. Howie plays chess, not checkers. He identifies weaknesses early, acts decisively, and never overpays for panic. This deadline feels like another one of those moments where he'll pull something off that makes the rest of the NFC sit up and say, of course the Eagles did that. So here's the question every fan should be thinking about right now. If you're in Howie Roseman's shoes, who are you going after? Do you prioritize the pass rush and target a player like Bradley Chubb or Trey Hendrickson? Do you go for a shutdown corner? Or do you make the emotional, but maybe smart, move to bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson to ignite that defensive swagger again? Let me know what you think down below, because this trade deadline could define whether the Eagles are just a playoff team or a true Super Bowl contender once more. And if you're all about this kind of Eagles talk, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and stay tuned. The next video is already lined up on your screen. Fly, Eagles, fly. And that's really what it comes down to, closing the gap between being good and being dominant. The Eagles have the foundation, the leadership, and the talent to make another deep postseason run, but right now, there's a missing spark. That's what Howie Roseman is searching for at this trade deadline, not just a player, but a difference maker. Someone who can come in and instantly elevate the energy in the locker room and the performance on the field. Because let's face it, Philadelphia isn't a franchise built for patience. This city doesn't wait around for potential to develop, it demands results. Every game at Lincoln Financial Field feels like a test, for the players, for the coaches, for the front office. Fans here live and breathe accountability. They expect their team to fight, to adjust, to win. And when the standard isn't met, the pressure turns up. Roseman knows that better than anyone. That's why he's always one step ahead, already thinking about the next move while others are still analyzing the last one. The beauty of this moment is that the Eagles don't need a complete overhaul, they just need fine-tuning. One more solid corner who can lock down a side of the field. One pass rusher who can finish plays. One voice in the secondary who can bring back